Today I'm doing a little sewing experiment. I'll be making these two purses to see which one comes together faster. This isn't a tutorial, it's just a chatty behind the scenes look at my process. I thought it would be fun to try something different and maybe spark some ideas for your own sewing projects. So come along with me and we'll get started. The first version has a main and batting quilted together with a lining separate. And the second version has all three layers, so the main, the lining, and the batting quilted together. So I'm just testing out which version of these is going to be quicker for me to make because I'm going to start making some gifts for Christmas. The first version I'm going to sew is the one that has the lining separate, and I'm sewing on my vintage Janome today, which doesn't have a reverse button. So that's going to make things a little bit interesting. I'm going to see if I can persevere, see how this works out on my little vintage machine here. Remember, it's been such a long time since I've made some pouches this way or some purses this way, so now I've just got to remember how I do it. Remember, after a bit of a false start trying to get the room sorted out so you had the best camera angle, I'm back at it. I think I said earlier that it's been a long time since I've made a purse like this. So this is going to be a little bit of a test of my memory. And I have to admit, it's not that great these days. So I don't know why, but I could feel it slipping. Maybe I should put my zipper foot on, see if that makes a difference. This is the first time I've sewn on this machine, so not only am I trying to remember how to make this pouch, but without reading the instructions, of course, I'm trying to figure out how this machine works. So this is a good experiment. Maybe today's just the day of experiments, I think. Slip these threads off. I think it's pretty much smooth sailing from here. I remember now. I remember how this works. So I bought this machine about a month ago. I saw it in a thrift shop, sitting there alone all by itself, and I thought, it's got to come home with me. So for $60, I thought, what a bargain. It had been tagged and tested, so I knew that it went, like it sewed. But until I got it home, I didn't realize that the reverse button didn't work. But that's okay. I can kind of work around that. Or I could take it to a sewing repair place and see if they will, if they can do anything to fix it. I just thought it was a great little machine, and I just can't go past a bargain. So for $60, I thought, yep, you're coming home with me, and I'll add you to the rest of my sewing machine family, which now totals, including this one, I've got 3 vintage machines. I've got this vintage Janome, I don't know what year it is, and I have a a Benina. I don't think that's vintage though. I think it's maybe from the 80s or 90s. Some people will say that's vintage. Yes, I've got the Benina, and then I have down beside me a vintage Elna, which I know is about a 1966 model. That one still has the discs in it to change the stitches with. So yeah, that one's super cool. Normal Genomes, my DC 2050s that I sew on all the time. I bought one of those about, gosh, it must be getting on 18 years now. And I did a lot of sewing on that when the kids were little because I had a hobby business sewing kids' clothes. And I liked that machine so much that a couple of years ago when I was in the shop and I was making quilts, and to save myself from taking the machine backwards and forwards from home to the shop, I ended up buying exactly the same model, the 2050. And that has been, both of them have been absolutely awesome. I look after them, I get them serviced, and they haven't skipped a beat. And this one sews so smoothly. Like you can't even hear it. Oh, I've got that reverse stitch thing, which I can't do. That's a pain. Okay. So you know what I just realized? I've just looked down next to my sewing machine and I found the zipper pull. I forgot to put the zipper pull on the purse before I sewed it up. Today has not been a good sewing day. So that little mistake took me about 10 minutes to fix. I can't believe I did that. I can, really. Um, Gosh, that is funny. Now I just have to turn the pouch through now if I can find the end of the zipper. I like that. Some days I can sit here and everything will be absolutely peachy, and then there'll be days where I shouldn't sit at a sewing machine. But that's okay. I mean, it's all learning, isn't it? And this was just an experiment to see how quickly these two versions of a purse would take me to sew, and which versions I like the best as well. This one's taken me about an hour and a half to sew um, with my mistake and my brain fog. So we'll see how long the next one takes. But I think I might look into seeing if I can get that reverse stitch fixed, because this is a great little machine and I'd love to sew on it more often. Here's the moment of truth now. Get my trusty little chopstick out so I can poke all these corners out. Lucky this is a test. Well, it has been a test of my patience. I will definitely have to make another one, I think. I might use my other Janome that has the reverse stitch on it. Especially if I'm going to be giving these away as gifts. Oh, look. As if things can't get any worse. I absolutely wasn't meant to sew today. So I haven't, I've gone too close to that seam. Don't think I'm going to unpick this one again. I'm just going to put this in the pile for me. That's cute. I like it. Let's see how long it takes me to make the next version. Sewing machines, but I've changed location as well. So now I'm out in the dining room. Hopefully going to get this project done before the kids get home from school. So we'll just see how we go with that. So I am back on my Janome DC 2050, my tried and true trusted workhorse, to do the second version of the pouch, which had all 3 layers quilted first. This version of the pouch goes, and how many mistakes I can make. What started out as something super simple, or an idea, what started out as an idea at 8:30 this morning has turned into a mammoth effort, because it's now 10 past 1. Oh dear. So that's my cute little label that I made. So because there's no lining to cover up the zipper, for these pieces I'm just binding the top edges. So I've got my zipper pull. I'm not going to forget that this time. And I bought one of these gadgets, and it's supposed to help you put the zipper pull on easily. And I've not used this before, so this is going to be another experiment. Today is the day for experiments. I believe it sits on like that, but I'm not sure, so we'll see how it goes. So I split the ends and I feed it on either side of those things, and it's supposed to just slide right on, go onto your zipper. Let's see how many times it takes me to get this zipper on here. Okay, so it's kind of on, but it's 3rd time, 4th time. I don't know if I'm even using this right, you know. I have one side threaded, but I can't get the other side to go in, and the zipper tape's fraying, which is making it a little bit more difficult. You know, I've seen people put the zippers on in like 2 seconds. Yeah, that's not happening for me though. I'm not sure. I'll have to give that a little bit more practice, I think. But at least I've got my zipper pull on. There's something nice about giving handmade gifts, I think. I've always loved receiving handmade gifts, and I like to make handmade gifts as well, but I think you have to know your audience. There are some people who really love and appreciate handmade gifts, and then there are others that are not so much, and that's okay. It's not for everybody. So I definitely do choose my audience when I'm giving handmade gifts. I think if somebody's taken the time to make you something, it must mean that you're pretty special to them. To receive a handmade gift always makes me feel really special. Only the time of year where it gets really busy for makers, getting all their Christmas stock ready, their Christmas gifts sewn for their loved ones. And these little purses that I'm making are really easy and usually very quick. So they're a great gift. I have purses and pouches of all different shapes and sizes in my possession because they're fun to make, and you can always find a use for them. I've got a load of different vinyl pouches that I use for all of my hand sewing projects because I like to see what's in the pouch. And I've got a different pouch for a different project only because I've made a stack of pouches. Now this is going to be, never done a binding on a flat pouch before on the inside. I've always done bindings on box pouches. I'm not sure this is going to give it a go. If I'm looking at this experiment from a time saving point of view, I'm not sure that either project is any quicker or that either version of this project is any quicker than the other way, because this one's taken me about 45 minutes, this version. I'll have to remake these again now that I've nutted out the nitty-gritty of what I have to do and see how long they take me. I definitely do have to make the first version again because I had all that time where I had to unpick because of the zipper. Thankfully, no one picking on this one. So I'm not quite sure I like the binding on this version. I've used binding to cover up the seams like you would if you were doing a box pouch. And I do like it for the box pouch. Covering up of the seams, I do like it for the box pouch. I'm not quite sure that I like it for a flat pouch. So this is what it looks like inside out. I'm just going to turn it through the right way and see what it looks like. It is a little bit bulky where the bias is meeting on those corners in the bottom. So it's a little bit bulky, and I don't think that I'm going to get my corners pushed out neat enough because of that. So that's a disadvantage. I mean, it could be a design feature, the curved bottom. It's cute otherwise. I'm just not sure. So an interesting experiment. I like it with the binding at the top. Sure, I can overlook those bottoms though. I don't know. What do you think? So which version do you like best? Do you like the peachy coloured one that's a little bit longer? So we'll call this A. Or do you like the light pink one, which is a little bit shorter? And we'll call this one B. So this one had the lining sewn in it separately. So it's nice and flat in its bottoms. And this one had the bias around the edges inside, which made the corners a little bit not pointed. So, but this one has the binding on the top, which I really, really love. Is this something you would overlook if you were receiving it as a gift, to have the pretty binding on top and the not so boxy corners, or would you prefer this version where it's just nice and neat and there's no bias on the top? So A or B? Let's have a vote. Pop your comments down below and we'll see which one you guys like the best.